I'm gonna start by clapping. Today's been a crazy day. Um, this is the most how should I put it, interesting uh, day I've ever spent listening to LBC radio. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a lady MP for Reform called Sarah Pochin, I believe. She said there's too many black people on TV ads. Now, we can all get into the whys and the hows of why they're starting to show more, diverse people on TV adverts. I mean, it's for many reasons, right? They probably adverts probably want to reach a wider base of customers, consumers, and stuff. We can get into the nitty gritty about how much of the population is represented by which demographic and all that kind of stuff. It's just the way the world is, right? It's the way media is, the way the internet is. We're just seeing a lot more types of different people on TV, whether it's actors on TV shows, actors on movies and all that kind of stuff. But back to what Sarah Portion said. A lady called in today at LBC and extremely, I'd say, irate, and irate for a reason. And she was basically saying that, well, it's okay for when you're being served by a black doctor or a brown doctor, served by a brown nurse. You go to the hospital, your GP. Most of the people that you see there are black or white, or brown. But as soon as we're represented in TV adverts, it's kind of like there's too much on us. It's just like it's crazy, because it's like, well, hang on a second, why is everything else okay but this isn't? Right, okay, I get it, whatever, but it's just, the mind boggles. I mean, black and brown people that are not white, have served in the military, British military, and still serve in the British military. There's not a lot of us in there, and sometimes you see adverts, there's some of us in those black or brown people in those adverts, and we're just trying to show that there is, okay, yes, the country may have a large proportion of a demographic that's white, but there's still black and brown people that are doing a job, that are in this country, and that are working very hard to pay taxes, to serving in the public sector and stuff. And it's just, it doesn't make sense. James O'Brien made a really important point, or somebody made a point. It's just like, if one person is thinking it, then 10 people are thinking it. And there was another caller as well called NLBC, and he was saying, he lived in Hertfordshire, and in his 90s, you always felt like the sort of racism was always kind of, sort of slightly under the surface, and it wasn't really sort of coming out. What's happening now, because of reform, and nobody needs to be a rocket scientist to figure this out, is that all of that stuff, all the racism now has been sort of empowered by guys like Nigel Farage and the Reform. And some of these comments from Pochin is that people now feel more open to say what they really think. And the thing is, it's just like, however you feel about immigrants and the way the government is handling immigration, and the supposed claims that they don't really have a handle of it, and we could go into the nitty-gritty of it, because some of the promises that were made by Mr. Farage, by the way, was that after Brexit, if we got out of Brexit, immigration would all of a sudden be handled better. Well, the truth is, it hasn't. And I know Mr. Farage will come and he'll start saying, well, it's because the right people are not in power and all that kind of stuff. But listen, things are now more, they're not as nuanced as they were before. Racism was not nuanced as it was before. And the thing is as well, we've got black and brown people that represent England in football, in the Olympics, in all kinds of many spheres of this nation, represent this nation. And also, if someone like Sarah Portion can make these comments, how soon? And to be honest with you, I think a lot of people will see it going towards this direction. Soon it's going to be like, well, there's too many of them. Oh gosh, the wind is really blowing out here. A bin's just been blown over. Anyway, back to this. Soon it's going to be like, well, there's too many black and brown people in politics. Okay, there's too many black and brown people as news anchors. I mean, although nobody's ever said that, it's just really difficult to understand. Well, it's not difficult because it's kind of understandable. It's just outward racism. It's just, you know, all the, and it's everywhere. It's online. And it's just like, well, like, where is it going? Some of it doesn't make sense. James Bryan made another point because another caller came in and today. That's why I said it's all happening today. Another caller rang in today and said, there's not, he counted 20 tills. I don't even really understand what he was saying. But I understand what he was saying in the grand scheme of this, because basically he was saying that there's, I think it was like there's 20 tills, but I think it was like 4 or 5 of them. There was like Asian people, and then he asked the manager of the Tesco's why that was, and obviously the manager, rightfully so, because that's his job, responded by saying that, well, we have to be reflective of the area, which in a way is true, but at the end of the day, it was like, how are you going around in a Tesco supermarket counting 20 tills and you're seeing 4 or 5 tills that have brown people? Would you go to a hospital or your GP and say the same thing? If there was a receptionist and she was brown and, you know, the doctor was brown, I mean, let's even get into the statistics. Nearly, I think it's about 40% of the doctors in the NHS are foreign. So, okay, we don't know whether they're brown or black, or even if they're not brown or black. Let's just say if they're Russian or they're from Albania, but they don't look brown, black or brown. Does that matter? Does that really matter? I mean, this is the way of the world. I mean, it's like, we go back years to World War II. You had the Gurkhas, the Sikhs. You had the African countries. You had so many other countries apart from white, because the English needed more people to come and fight the war. And then there's obviously afterwards where a lot of the people from the Caribbean, talk about the Windrush generation, were asked to come, because it's just like pretty much all the people had been decimated. I can't even think of the word. Annihilated, or almost annihilated in the World War II. So England needed more people to come and work in the hospitals, on the transport, in the construction, building the nation all up again. That was okay. But it's just like, now there's too many of us, or too many of them in the UK. I mean, it's just crazy. So yeah, so the lady that called earlier and was basically saying that it's very much a lot of cherry picking, and I have to agree with her. But the crux of the matter is this, and the main point of the video is this. Taking all of that aside, is the cracks on the building of this country called the UK are well and truly within sight. Not even within sight, but wholly visible. The cracks are beginning to tear through the fabric of what I still believe is this great nation. And no matter what you think about black or brown people, black and brown people contribute a heck of a lot to this country. In some cases, even more than what people think. And you know, it makes us wonder what's gonna happen, because to be honest with you, a lot of people are starting to think, or starting to believe, that it's gonna get worse. And then I'm not even gonna get into the whole topic of tax, or what's happened with Rachel from accounts, because you know, the impending possible further income tax rises that may come. This country is really fractured, and I think as a people, we have to really think long and hard about where we want to go, because the power of reform and the narrative of reform that is building, which is very fracturing and very divisive, is growing. And people should be worried. People should be very strategic about where they want to live in the future, whether it's the country, this UK. I mean, the UK is a great nation. I still believe it's a great nation, but things are happening now that even I think as well, as a husband, as a father, is just like, what kind of country do I want My daughter is a British citizen. She was born here. All she knows is England. And to think that somebody can come and say, well, there's too many of you on adverts, or that, you know, I don't my kids or anybody's kids to think that, to grow up being taught basically in this country that it's okay only if you do this, but when you're in this space, it's not allowed. And that's pretty much what I've learned today. Is all been about listening to some of having heard the comments that Sarah Pochin made, and then obviously some of the callers that rang in today. We are really divided. That's the truth, and a lot of people are feel that they can say things, which is fine. We live in a democratic country, but the way the country is going, one has to be really concerned. And I had actually somebody comment on one of my previous videos, because I lost something similar along these sort of conversations. I think the last video I did was about somebody said something about brown people and that he didn't want to live next to brown people, and yeah, it's just worrying. Somebody the comment that somebody responded to that and said it to me, because obviously I put the video out, and obviously he'll be thinking a lot the same about a lot of other people that are like me, and I believe the words that he said, that a lot of us are tolerated at the moment. And this is the thing, it's like, even if you're black and you're brown and you're even in reform, or support reform, you have to take a long hard look at yourself, because you're supposedly in a party that's communicating certain policies or thoughts that you think as a black and brown people are favoritive towards you. They're not, because if somebody can come on a comment on a video and say this comment towards me, somebody who's black and British, I was born here, I work for a very charitable organization, I won't say which one, I pay my taxes, I do what's right, I speak English, I'm very integrated into the English life, and yet can still say to me, without really knowing my background, but just purely from color of my skin, because let's be honest, that's what it all came down to, can say that comment towards me, that I am tolerated. Where's the distinction? There is no distinction, because it's not about what you contribute, it's not about how hard you work, it's not about what you give back to the economy, it's about the color of your skin. I wonder how those people that are in reform feel about being in reform. You have to think long and hard about the party that you're supporting to be in power one day. Listen, it's a free country. We live in a democratic country. People can say whatever they want whenever they want. But I think as people, you have to think long and hard about who you're supporting, because sometimes the people that you think you're supporting, who you think is for you, may not be for you. Because if somebody can come online and say a blanket statement about that, like that towards me, and not really know or understand my background and know how much I've put in this country, my family, my parents, my wife, my family, and yeah, that's just what it is. So yeah, it's been a very interesting day, and yeah. But anyway, if you've watched this long, guys, I just want to say thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share. We want to grow this channel. This channel has always been more about mental health and men's mental health, and women, I've been reminded. So yeah, we just want to keep having conversations that are relevant to us as a people, about mental health, because let's be honest, all these things at the root of it is all about how we take care of ourselves, how we look after each other in terms of mental health. So yeah, just wanted to share that. But yeah, have a good day.